cadres used it in the South on the peasants. What it means is when water burns, you have got a lesson to learn about a new power in force just awaking. Cadres went on to explain, we got a new set of rules for you, compadre. And don't be forgetting it was under threat of death that this lesson was given. Still, many in the South would sit that lesson out in stubborn acquiescence, resigned to those nightly sermons, no more than Hanoi expected, really. Less so the Americans, forever optimistic, hearts and minds. In the end, it is clear the North settled for fear and rice expropriated, while we would burn that same village down in order to protect it. Vietnamese history, you just asked the Chinese, is one long struggle for independence. The other side had a purpose and pride we dismissed in our great power arrogance. But Ho Chi Minh, Gia Binh Thanh had a plan so simple, so perfect, it was genius. To fight at a pace that maintains hard face in the minds of both nations' civilians. And it was race that fueled the hate of any and all foreign intrusion. In this very mindset, 2 main force regiments slept as that day in November came near. Then the light, that perfect light, in a triple canopy tumble slipped like smoke into all of those men. Under the command of General Chu He-man, one of Jap's closest, most trusted friends, they were ready, waiting, dug in. On the 14th, 1st Battalion, 7th Regiment touched down, part of the 1st Air Cavalry Division. About 10 miles from Cambodian border, almost on top of General Mann's headquarters. And from there we went no farther. From that moment on, the whole thing took place in as much space as you would need to play the game of football. In a coordinated attack, 3 battalions strong, they came down to the valley and they met us. General Mann served us hell for breakfast. All that first day, we held them at bay with M16s and a few light mortars. Good order was kept. No surprise in that it was understood they were given no quarter. By afternoon, some of our platoons were led by sergeants and corporals. 2 main force regiments meant 1st Battalion had let itself get in a situation 8-1 head on. We call for reinforcements. Just before dark, 1 company flew through an impossible enemy fire, so hot that before our eyes it vaporized every other one of the Air Cav's helicopters. As evening fell, senior officers will still retell, the word went out all the way to Westmoreland. We are going to lose the entire 1st Battalion. But after a whole day spent of regiment piecemeal sent, General Mann compounded his tactical error. He broke off and waited for morning. If right then he would have thrown everything in, he would have made soup out of 1st Battalion. He should have had Crazy Horse with him. Our enemies continually underestimate American soldiers. From Pusan Desert Storm to the Argonne, they do it over and over. They read too much of that English puff. The Brits are our dearest critics. You only read about the Kasserine Pass. The Chosin is never mentioned. I'm sure that as dawn of 15 November came on, General Mann was tasting his victory. It is a fact in records kept concerning the Battle of the Drang. 33,000 artillery rounds were poured into that battle. Coordinates were called in that placed impact within 20 meters of our own position, and almost all of it on the 15th of November. By mid-afternoon, sunlight roared through in a hot bloom from a wide-open sky. There were no more leaves on the trees. There was no more triple canopy. That forest was a smoking ruin. And still they came in, blowing bugles, some of them, side by side, firing low, straight on in, again and again and again. We had to use B-52s to take the fight out of the heart of those men. Later that night, General Mann pulled out, took what was left, and headed west for Cambodia. Just enough healthy to carry his headquarter files, his typewriters, and his wounded. We found dead on the ground 634 NVA bodies. And we watched as they dragged away at least that many. Our KIA was 79. We had 130 laying around mewing and puking. And, strangely, still on the list, 9 or 10 missing. Some later said if we'd just gone ahead and let ourselves be overran right there and then, America might have got out of the Nam early. Instead, we counted the dead and declared ourselves victorious. A victory that was used as a ploy to help sell search and destroy as a surefire winning strategy. You can blame it all on the hardheads of the cavalry and that 105 millimeter artillery. Fredericksburg, Peleliu, Stalingrad, and Iwo Jima, fights like them go around the bend of what is expected from the human being. So I make no claim that the Drang made one little turn in the wheel of history, or that in the great scheme of things it was even very important. Yet ever since the event, warfare's students have spent a lot of time thinking about that valley. And they will all agree with the following. In the way discipline was maintained by rank and file NVA in the face of a fire no infantry before or since has ever witnessed. In the way 1st Battalion made that do or die decision, never considered surrender. She got everybody's attention. The Drang commands a place in the pantheon of what men have done in battle. 31 years, as I write, have passed since that fight took place in the Drang Valley. Strange as it may seem, no flashbacks, no dreams. interrupt the peace of my sleep. One day, I'd like to shake the hand of General Mann and reminisce with those NVA veterans. I would walk with them into the Central Highlands. Everything would be so green. See that neon flash of wings, smell that wet, fresh tiger, scat steam, look up at those flowering vines climbing as the light, that perfect light, in her triple canopy tumble, wraps warm arms around us all once again.